Okay, folks, we are live. I am waiting for Larry to call me. Please do what I'm doing right now and share this on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get as many people listening as possible. The woman who is breaking this story, her life has already been at risk. They've killed her horse and her 2 dogs. They are coming after her, and that's why she's breaking the story today. Because just like what we had with Larry before years ago, when some of the women that were involved with Bill Clinton wanted to break their story, somebody put off their telling their story over the weekend, and they didn't make it till Monday to tell their story. So wanted to break their story. I've got Reeves. Hang on. Is somebody here with me? Oh, good. Okay, so.
Hello. Is that Larry?
Hi, it's Diane. Yes, this is Larry. Diane, are you here? Diane Richards.
I don't think she's with us yet.
What about Double X?
Someone just came on.
Good afternoon. This is Double X.
Double X, hold on. We got Orleans, and we don't have Diane yet, folks. Mary Ellen, are we on the air?
Yes, sir. We're on the air. We're live, and I just shared it on Facebook, and I just asked everybody else who's here, the few who are here, I'm going to put it in the chat right now to please share this. This is a story. We want as many people. We want as many people. Who just joined?
Randy.
Oh, Rindy. Okay.
Yeah. All right, now, folks, listen. We're doing this to a conference call, but please, no one get on the conference call. Randy, you're here, so stay here. But, folks, this is a different program today than we normally do.
Okay.
I have been friends with Double X for many years now. We call him Double X because of his work. We can't get out his name.
Okay.
And, Mary Ellen, what is today's date, please?
Today is Friday, March 8th. Rindy, if you'd put on mute, that'd be great.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm on
Now, this is a different program than we normally do. But due to the information that needs to get out, we're changing things up a little bit. So everybody bear with us. We're doing it kind of in a weird way compared to normal. But I have Double X and Orleans. And Orleans, I'm sorry, your last name is Williams. Hello? Did we lose Orleans?
Sorry, I put it on mute.
Okay.
It's pronounced Curla.
I'm sorry?
Orlean Curla. And I am the state president of Eagle Forum of California, and Diane Richards is one of our board members in charge of election integrity.
Very good, thank you. And then we have Diane Richards will be joining us, I hope, momentarily. She's not
Yes,
yet.
Larry. It may be that she delayed getting to the conference, and I'll check on that right now.
All right.
Somebody just joined the number, Larry.
The purpose of this program, we have talked for a long, long time about election fraud. I want to make an explanation here to find something. You have voter fraud, you have election fraud. They get confused sometimes. Voter fraud is when someone votes like 5 times and just keeps voting over and over. Election fraud is the one that probably can destroy the country. Election fraud is when they do it within the equipment, or they rig the system in some way. Now remember, I've told you, our founding fathers gave us 3 weapons: our voices collectively, and our vote. And what you're about to hear, only Double X and Diane tell you, for the first time, you're going to get an inside of how some of the election fraud is conducted. So I want to thank Orleans, and by the way, I'm very proud of you for leading Eagle Forum. It's a wonderful organization.
Thank you. I think so too.
By the way, Larry, by the way, right now we have 57 people watching.
Devil X, are you there?
Yes, I am, Larry, and Diane will be joining us momentarily.
Very good. Well, will you go ahead and give us the background of what we're talking about? By the way, guys, listen to me. I trust Devil X. I've known him. He's accurate. I can't say that I have verified the documents or any of the evidence. I cannot say that. But, Orleen, you have, correct, hon?
Yes, I have, and I've been following this for several years as Diane and her daughter have been fighting, trying to get some kind of voter integrity. And right now, they're in the midst of the trial that should have taken place 2 years ago. So that's why we want to really bring this to the forefront of people's attention across our nation, because boy, do they need our help, our prayers, and whatever support we can possibly give them.
Well, I want to tell you, and Orleen, and wish Diane were here, that the both of you, I appreciate more than most people would the courage it takes for you to do what you're doing. I know you're exposing the system, and that's never safe. Never.
That's true, especially in California.
Especially in California, where you have my highest honor of support.
Thank you. Diane is with us.
Welcome, Diane. Very good.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you bet. Well, thank you for coming. The guest is here, so Double X, if you will, lay the groundwork right quick, and then we'll get to Diane and Orleen.
You bet. First, folks, if you're listening to the webcast today, this is one of those moments. It's like the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. It's like Ruby Ridge with Randy Weaver family in River Ridge, Idaho. There are times when things come out and people get in the line of fire when it's not quite going to be matching up with the powers that be. Trinity County, California, for several decades has effectively been overrun by what you might call narco trafficking. There's a whole cannabis industry there and a great black market around the country and the world for marijuana. Well, that has penetrated, perhaps even into the halls of justice in Trinity County. Diane will be able to give us, Diane Richards here today, will be able to give us more detail about that. But the occasion for the broadcast, the webcast today, Larry, and we'll be covering this tonight over the airwaves with Pastor Sanders' radio ministry, What's Right, What's Left. That will be at 10 p.m. Eastern time until midnight. And we'll talk specifically more about this. But the occasion for us getting together today is Diane's she had an election stolen out from under her when she ran for the Trinity County Board of Supervisors in 2016, and Diane will give us more detail. But there has come to light, which has now been filed as a matter of public record with court documents in the Trinity County Courthouse, a DVD interview, a digital interview of one of the deputy registrars at Trinity County that brings to light a massive election fraud, and in specific reference to perhaps the 2016 election, that Diane's election was stolen from her. So Diane Richards joins us from Trinity County today, Larry. Orleen Perla, the president of the California chapter of the Eagle Forum, joins us from north of San Francisco. Santa Rosa. And Orleen, will Ann Schlafly-Corey join us today?
No, she had a filming that was going on at the same time, but she certainly sends her blessings. She's the daughter of Phyllis Schlafly, our wonderful founder and president of Eagle Forum, who passed away, and her daughter is now the CEO of Eagle Forum, and she's certainly interested and concerned about what is going on because she knows that Diane is a member of our state board here in California.
And Orleen has written an excellent PDF file that, Orleen, is that posted on the Eagle Forum of California.org website?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and what is the name of that posting?
It's called the Lawless Wild Wild West of Trinity County.
Okay, very good. So the Lawless Wild Wild West of Trinity County, California, folks. As you're listening live and as you're listening on recorded, once the YouTube file is complete, and then on Pastor Sanders' broadcast this evening, you can go to eagleforumofcalifornia.org and search for the document entitled The Lawless Wild Wild West of Trinity County, California. Now, by the way, Larry, Pastor's broadcast will be tonight, as I say, at 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight Eastern, and that can be heard live web stream at kprz.com. That's Kilo Papa Romeo Zulu.com, Kilo Papa Romeo Zulu.com. That's the What's Right, What's Left radio ministry out of Independence, Ohio. And so with that, Larry, perhaps we can give the floor to Diane so she can tell the story.
Yes, Diane, I told Orlean, and I want to be sure and tell you, I honor you for the courage it takes to come out and do this. So I'm very proud of you. Having been where you are years ago, I know what it takes. So Diane, if you will, tell us what happened to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Larry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, a little louder.
All right. All right, let me see if I can get that louder.
While you're doing that, I'd like,
How's that? Okay.
excuse me, let me just say something. We've got somebody listening from Scotland.
Great. All right, go ahead, Diane.
Okay. So in June, it was the presidential primary of June 2016, where we had the big, contest with Trump for the primary for the Republican side, and Clinton against basically Bernie Sanders. So there were a lot of people that were registering for that particular election all over the country, especially in California. There was a really big surge for Bernie Sanders in California, as you can imagine. Even though they're misguided, people were like, I'm going to vote for the first time, and we were registering people left and right. I was running because we actually had quite a few elections from 2012, 2014, where we suspected election fraud. People that should have won weren't winning. We had a sheriff that ran, a deputy that ran for sheriff and didn't win, and even the sheriff that got reelected was shocked that he won because the other one was so popular. He was a special forces deputy sheriff and very, very popular. Still is very popular. But anyway, so I decided to run because we knew we're going to have to basically really take it all the way to prove this election fraud. And we also, all this time, we're using Election Integrity Project, Linda Payne and her group that would come in and train everybody. And we had people staffed in all the polling places. But what we did different for 2016 June is we began to staff the actual elections office 6 weeks before, when they started to send out the vote by mail, etc. They were there watching every aspect, and they were documenting it. 1, 2, 3 people every day, like it was a job. And these are volunteers, and they were really the ones in the the ranks right there in the trenches. And basically,
Diane, if I may, folks, one of the reasons I don't like conference calls is because of extraneous noise. So anybody that can, put your phone on mute, please, so we can more clearly hear Diane. This is incredibly important, very, very important. So please mute. Go ahead, Diane. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no worries. I understand. So on the they were not allowing our election observers to ask questions, do anything. I'm also the chair of the Republican Party in Trinity County, and the state of California legislature has laws put into place that lets the Central Committee members, whether you're Democrat, Republican, really participate, be able to check the machines to see if they are properly calibrated, are they sealed, you name it, the signature verification, we're supposed to be able to participate. Well, they wouldn't let us participate. We knew that was happening, but they came day after day. They were insulted. They were even attacked during this. A gentleman in a wheelchair, an amputee, a heart transplant patient, one of the, he's all those things, was one of the, heading the Election Integrity Project in Trinity County at that time. And they actually, the deputy marshal, or the marshal, I believe it was at the time, roughed him up while he was actually trying to watch the election procedure. So really, we've had a lot of intimidation, and that was just the beginning of it. One of the other people running for supervisor, her name is Bobby Chadwick, for the other district next to me, they were killing her dog, they were sabotaging her truck, where she couldn't even use it anymore. I mean, we were really afraid for her. And I'll tell you in a little bit one more thing that happened with that, but we'll get back to that. Remind me to get back to what was happening to her at that time. So there's a lot of intimidation. A lot of people were going around and threatening people. So anyways, we basically found out we had registered about over almost 100 Hmong, and those are Asian people from Laos that live in my particular district. And we had a big celebration. It was wonderful, great food, everything. And we registered exactly 96 people. They were turned in. Their voter registration cards were perfect, and we turned them in the next day. And we wanted to watch them actually process that, but they refused to let us watch the processing of the voter registrations. So anyways, then we're like, okay, well, hopefully everything's going good there. Then some of the Hmong people called into the registrar and said, look, we're probably going to have problems with language because many of our voters are elderly, and we'd like to have some translators. Well, they were told, you won't have to come in to vote because you're in a vote-by-only district. Tell all your people not to come in to the polling place, if you can imagine, okay? So they came and told us that. We checked on it. They're like, yeah, we're not going to let them vote there. But the day of the election, I was sitting 100 feet from the polling place. There was only one polling place. They basically shut down almost all the polling places in Trinity County. It's a huge county, the size of Texas, if you iron it out, because it's all lots of rugged mountain area, et cetera. So it's quite large, actually. And so I was sitting 100 feet away. But by law, you have to be 100 feet away if you're basically a candidate. And there were carloads of Asians showing up, trying to vote. They were turning them away. They were telling them that they have to go to the elections office, which is about an hour or more away, depending how far they came just to vote there. Could have been 2 hours to get all the way to the elections office of the county seat. And basically, then when they insisted, some of them insisted on voting there, they actually gave them, are you ready for this, fake ballots. They were fraudulent ballots that in our trial, we're in the middle of an election trial right now, election contest trial. Somebody's making a lot of noise. Okay, please mute right there. In the middle of the election contest trial, the elections officer admitted that she designed it and she manufactured them. They were not copies of the real ballots. In California, they have to be a certain card stock, a certain tint, a certain font, a certain size, the state seal on them, etc. And you have to have permission for how many you're going to produce. We found out that we had 7,702 registered voters at that time, and they produced 149% more basically than what we needed. It was of what the number was. And usually you only produce 75%. So it was a huge amount of extra ballots. Why would they have to print these fake ones? Well, I will tell you that I believe it's because that way they can get rid of them. There was no record. They admitted in the trial, which is still ongoing, that they destroyed any remainder ones. We had very experienced observers that were trained by the military actually watching, and they saw them remove some of those voted ballots. They're in envelopes, provisional ballots. They're supposed to be regular ballots, but they were in provisional envelopes. They also saw them removed from the elections office, vote by mails that never came back in. So they were just stealing the election right in front of everybody, basically.
Now let me ask you this, Diane. Let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Now, in your court case, you got proof of this, correct?
Right. We had lots of witnesses.
Have any of the witnesses been willing to come forward in your case?
Oh, no, that we had a full day and a half of witnesses, observers, supervisors, everybody that's concerned We definitely had plenty of witnesses, but one of our witnesses was actually tampered with, and that was the deputy election clerk who quit after, basically was pushed out, but she quit after the 2016 election. And she actually produced, with some of the observers, a video that we just came in possession of, which basically she collaborated that all of this this stuff that we had in the trial was true. All the things that people were saying, she said, yes, that's what happened. That, for instance, my opponent, John Finley, and his partner, Jose Acosta, her spouse, they went and would have private meetings with the elections officer behind closed doors, several of them, many times. And in the trial, the elections officer said she said, no, I didn't have any meetings with him. So she perjured herself there. And then what she told us that one of these meetings, for instance, with now, after he quote unquote was elected, he became the chair of the Board of Supervisors for a year, and so did his will over the people here. But after that, one of the meetings, she took over all the voter registration, specifically asking for the Asian affidavits and all affidavits to District 5, not the other 4 districts, just District 5. So they were targeting my district so that if you tried to register to vote, they were going to make sure you weren't going to be able to vote. And so many people were showing up at the polling place and they were saying, you're not registered. We don't have you here. You're not registered. And it was true. She didn't register a huge portion of the people that had registered for this, very hotly contested election, because it was the presidential primary. So everybody wanted in on it. But she took that away from her. When they were doing signature verification, it wasn't real. It was all being done in another room. Nobody was able to even know it was being. They were pretending. It was like theater. And so it was pretty shocking when we saw this video. We just got a hold of it. She also said how on the election night, for instance, she and the other deputy clerk were there with the main elections officer, whose name is Shanna White. And she said she had this deputy clerk. She had been trained to send in all the election, all the counts to the Secretary of State. She had taken 3 courses, 3 trainings. Nobody else, I think, was as trained as she was. And at the end of the night, the Secretary of State's office said, you did a great job. Everything's great. We got everything. But the minute that all the count was in, basically Shanna White said, you've messed it all up. You didn't do it right. Oh, some other choice words. You guys go home and I'm going to fix it. So I guess she did fix it, okay? And so there alone that night, she was there fixing the election. And for instance, let's get back to the polling place, when people were showing up there, instead of asking them, are you a Republican or a Democrat, what's your party affiliation, so they could give them the proper ballot, they asked them out loud, they said, who are you going to vote for president? And people were shocked, but they're like, Bertie, or they would say Trump, and they're like, okay, here. I mean, there was no secret vote. They sat them at a table. You didn't even, half the people didn't even get to vote in a booth, a privacy booth. They had them sitting at communal tables to vote. And basically, they were voting on these fake photocopied ballots that were only sized at 8.5 by 11, or 10, whatever it is, 8 by 10.5, instead of the very large ballots, I think they're like 11 by 17. And so they're just a piece of paper that there's no record of how many they in deposition and in the trial. They had no record of how many they printed of those, how many they sent to each polling place, how many were voted. They have a ballot statement that every polling place has to fill out, like how many voters came in, how many vote by mail ballots were dropped off, how many people had to vote provisionally. We know in that polling place about the same amount of people that voted regular were voting provisionally. That has probably never happened anywhere in any precinct or polling place in the state of California. I mean, it was a wild, like Orlean likes to say, it was a wild, wild west.
Well, let me
And
ask you
then,
this. Diane, in the interest of time, because we've only got an hour, what?
Good.
They rigged the vote.
They
I've
did.
never heard of such a mess in my life, but I guess what I'm trying to say, Diane, and Pauline, I've been around rigging elections a lot, so I'm kind of good at that. I've never seen just doing it out public like you're talking about. I've never seen that openness. How in the world did people respond to that?
Well, the problem here is we've been trying. We would go up to the Board of Supervisors during the election saying they're doing it wrong. Come down and see. They're cheating. They're not going by the code. There has been, I believe, prevalent election fraud in Trinity County for at least 30 years. It's really just basically ingrained. When we would register people, they'd say, "Oh, Diane, my vote's not going to count." I'm like, "Yes, it will." And I was wrong. But the people would even, they didn't even want to put down a party because they felt if they put down Democrat or Republican that their vote would definitely not count. So a lot of people, the majority of the people in Trinity County are under no political party or nonpartisan because they don't want anybody to know how they might vote. They're very intimidated. And so let me tell you something that came out in the trial. The supervisor that won in the next district, Bobby Chadwick, the one that they were shooting her dogs and what have you, she said that while she was running for supervisor, she had a young boy come who wanted an Asian boy, he's 8th grader, that wanted to get a puppy from her, a guardian farm dog. And she didn't want to just give it to him, she wanted him to earn it. And so she said, if you come here, you stack firewood and do some farm chores, for a certain amount of time, you'll then earn the puppy. So he did earn the puppy, and he left with his puppy, and she thought he'd come back. He never came back. She figured, well, I guess he only wanted his puppy, but I would have given him, pocket change and let him work. He clearly didn't have his own money. And so she just recently, during this trial, she saw his parents in the grocery store and said, where's Two? How come he didn't come back to work? I loved having him there. And they said, he's dead. And she said, what do you mean he's dead? They said, we found him hanging in the forest from a tree with his puppy crying underneath him. So somebody killed that boy. I think to send a message to her. Right, this is what we're going on here. And now, just recently, they've been shooting my dogs, killing them. They shot my champion dog. They shot a puppy 5 months old. And now they shot a show parade horse, 2 bullets to the head just about 3 weeks ago. This is like crazy. We're in a shooting gallery is what we are right now. And
who is behind the violence? Do you have any idea?
Definitely many people on the board of the supervisors and those that control them. For instance, the ex-board of supervisor that lost to this woman, with the dog that they shot her dog, he came on Facebook not very long ago, about a month ago or so, maybe it's 2 months, and said that Diane Richards, on Facebook, in my town community Facebook, and said Diane Richards needs to be run out of town. We know what to do. I'm not saying you should do it, but we all know what to do. And that's basically when much of the shooting commenced. And it was him. It was his name, Carl Fisher. There he is. He must be quite a fool to have done that. And yet the sheriff hasn't done anything. The DA, it's like, well, it's just the Wild West here. Who cares if they're shooting? So, that's where we're at right now. But
now, just for a little clarity, Larry and Diane, on the violence, which I think is quite important and central to this issue today, Larry, and to this webcast. You had a dog shot out from under you, as I understand it, Diane, within the last 3 months. That was a puppy, a good-sized puppy. And tell us the specific circumstances about how that all transpired.
Well, my neighbor actually was hired to replace this supervisor that basically was trying to get people to run me off, replaced him in a school renovation project, which is another whole issue. And he knows my schedule, but he didn't realize that I was going to be home on a weekday, and we heard a single gunshot. I saw my dogs scatter, they're farm guardian dogs, and one of the puppies ran back, and he was splattered with blood. I'm like, oh my God. So I hopped the fence, went over to where I saw my neighbor loading the dog into a cart behind his ATV and take up a hill. And so I was on foot and I ran after him, and he had already dug a grave about 4 feet deep with a backhoe that he has. And I immediately took a picture, called 911, and I demanded that he get my dog out of this 4-foot hole. And he had already got the collar off of him. And he admitted he did it to me. He admitted that he did it to the police, and yet nothing. And that's 3 felonies in the state of California. Animal cruelty, destruction of weapons too close that ends up with either destroying property or maiming or killing somebody, and the concealment of a felony. So, but hey, in Trinity County, it's the wild, wild west. And so I imagine that's where the other dog is, and a couple other dogs that I'm missing as well. But he couldn't get that horse buried, I guess. And so this has really gone too far. We're lucky that we have all these citizens that are trying to break this hub of corruption that comes out of the elections office. I don't care if you're running for judge, supervisor, sheriff, whatever. The person that controls all that is the elections officer in this county, period.
Well, let me ask you this, Diane. The prosecutor, your county prosecutor, have you gone to the prosecutor with any of this?
A dozen times. They won't meet with me. They won't take my calls. And I will tell you this, when we filed the election contest in July of 2016, the presiding judge dismissed it. Then we filed for a reconsideration saying, look, here's the law. No, you didn't file in time. We're like, no, here's the law, and here's case law too. No. So we had to take it to the appellate court. We won hands down the appellate court. The judges were irate at the appellate level in Sacramento, our county seat. And you can imagine if liberal judges are irate, what's really going on.
Right.
And they said, what's happening in Trinity County? And so they remanded it back. We eventually got rid of the presiding judge. She was a crook. She was on the take. She was getting loans from the county, not paying it back. I could go on and on. We were able to get her removed. So we have a corrupt court system. Everything is corrupt. You name it, it's corrupt. You can't even build a home. These Asian people are living in shacks, and they like it. The county government likes it like that. They just push them away. Don't let them. They don't have any services. No electricity, no water, no telephone, no electricity, no roads, etc. They're treated like, I don't even know who even treats anybody like that. And now they can't vote. They wanted to vote because they want to have the basics, the American dream that we all have. And I don't know if most people don't know the Hmong were the only allies we had in Vietnam. That's why we brought them here and made them citizens right away. They fought with, my husband was actually embedded with them in Vietnam.
Right.
He was an airborne ranger. He thought these people were great. They're very courageous. And those are the people, some of the people living here have actually shown me holes in their bodies from the AK-47s that they were shot with from the Viet Cong and the Chinese. I mean, they were our only allies. Go ahead.
Who is behind all of this? I mean, election fraud in your case is one of the symptoms of what's wrong. Who is running that county? Is it the drug cartel? Is it the drug people? Who's this county is very, very rich. Even though the people are very poor, there's about 14,000 people that live here. It is very rich in water. The water that goes down California and feeds all the development, etc., a lot of it comes from Trinity County. We're very rich in natural resources, everything, you name it, gravel, the timber, you name it. Yes, we have a large cannabis, operations here. That's true, but it's been like this from before that. They have been controlling this county for a long time. It could be the old families that control here.
imagine some of them have died off. But they really found out that they get over $100 to $120 million a year here in state and federal mandate funds. And there's no accounting for that money. I'm telling you, we don't build a building. We don't do anything to the roads. All the road repairs from the state. So where is $120 million a year going when there's only 14,000 people and they don't build anything or do anything? They are people in charge that, like the county council, the law firm, the board of supervisors, they're all sucking those mandate funds dry.
Well, folks, let me tell you this. What you have just heard sounds shocking. It does. And I'm speaking primarily of the election fraud. This is one of the reasons it is so hard for us to win back our country. Even though the story Diane and Orlean are in the middle of, it's done it in a lot of places, folks. This isn't as unique as it seems. The problem is, what do you do about it? And just as Diane has seen, when you control the system, when they've got the prosecutor, when they've got the judges, it makes it impossible to do anything about the injustice. But to Diane's credit, most people, when they get told no or thrown out of the prosecutor or the first judge, they walk away. Diane, I commend you for going on and following through to that appellate court. That takes courage. But folks, we've got to have this kind of exposure everywhere. For the first time now, we have a case that's out in full light. Most of the time, this kind of stuff, Diane and Orlean, that's going on, nobody ever hears about.
Mary, could I interject something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that Diane noticed that really let her know that election fraud was going on was how the voting machines were rigged. So whenever the ballots were counted, and this went on for many years, it was always 30-70, 30-70, 70% Democrats, 30% Republicans. And that was impossible in a county that had essentially 50-50. But we see that also in places across California. So that's one of the signs that some strange election fraud is going on. And I would just like to also commend Diane and her daughter to they've been so courageous in all of this, especially a lot of people when you've had dogs shot and all the intimidation that goes on. You would just decide it's time to move and move away. But she and her daughter are holding firm, and I so appreciate your radio program to be able to tell people about this. Appreciate Double X and Pastor Sanders is going to be talking about it tonight, because we've got to get this out in front of the public to help preserve her life and her daughter's.
You bet. Well, Orlean, let me ask you this. Is Eagle Forum, I know because I knew Phyllis Shapley, she was one of the first people, Orlean, that took me serious when I was coming out against Clinton. I will always owe her for helping me. That Eagle Forum was unbelievable help back then. Is Eagle Forum taking it on nationally, or are you kind of just leaving it at the state level?
Well, Ann Corey knows about it. That's Phyllis's daughter. So does Uni Smith. I sent them a copy of my article that I wrote about it, and they certainly are advised about this as well. And I'm hoping that they will also be able to take it on nationally and speak out more about it, because this is something, it's affecting our whole nation. California is not the only state that has voter fraud and election fraud going on.
Right.
So I'm sure that election integrity has always been something that Eagle Forum has stood behind, and I'm sure they're very, very concerned. Anne would have liked to be on this program with you today, but she had a filming that was happening at that same time. But I did call her, and she's very much spectacular and is very proud of Diane and Karen, her daughter, for their courage.
Oh, yeah. Now, Diane, has the media been involved with you at all? Have they taken an interest?
No, it's a complete blackout. The only real paper here is Trinity Journal, and they never have interviewed us or anything. They might put a little snippet in, but they have not been attending even the trial. Nothing. The Record Searchlight and Reading. Basically, many of these counties are all hooked up to each other. They're all in bed with each other. You know, the power play on top. And basically, this is the last thing anybody wants to come out. Because let me tell you something. I don't think it's just the Democrats using these machines to steal elections. These machines that we have, the Diebold AccuVote, they were decertified by Deborah Bowen, the prior Secretary of State, when it was proven in Humboldt County how these machines are very, very unreliable and so easy. They say, an eight-year-old could program it, because they basically put in a very simple program, a 2 for 1, 2 for him, 1 for her, 2 for him, 1 for her, and that becomes it's a very simple formula, and it's a very, very basic kind of program.
Yeah, it's very simple because I used to do it, and everybody in this audience knows I know nothing about computers and such, but the votes were easy to read. Now, let me ask you, have you contacted, I know the LA Times, have you contacted them?
We've tried to contact contacted everybody we possibly can, and basically everybody is just no, not that interesting. You know, I don't know if it's because it's Trinity County or because this is a very hot potato. Maybe it's just a hot potato.
I can answer part of that. One of the reasons the reason I asked about Los Angeles Times, of course, they're just like the rest of the mainstream media.
Right.
They're not going to print the truth in something like this because, folks, while this sounds like a Trinity County, California story, it's not. This is what's wrong with our election system that we've got to fix between now and 2020. Once again, exactly what happened to Diane is going to happen all over the country again. So we can use this case. We can use the one case that has finally had the courage to get out and pursue. We now have something to hang with, something to show us the light. Here it is right in front of us. And what is significant, Diane, and what's significant is just how blatant they are. They're not hiding anything. They're just doing it in full view of everybody. They don't care because they've got it rigged all the way.
And Larry and Diane and Orlean, I think there's a couple of data points that are important for folks to get a hold of now as we round out this discussion, and perhaps critical for folks to be able to get to. And the first data point is that the bombshell video that is an interview of the deputy registrar is now up and available, been filed as a court document, as a court record in the case that Diane has described. And that video can be seen on YouTube. There's in 7 parts at the following YouTube channel. And that's a very simple YouTube channel called Trinity Water. Trinity Water is the name of the YouTube channel where you can see Cheyenne, the deputy registrar, tell the story about the election fraud. It's just stunning, and it's important for everybody to know how brave Cheyenne is in telling that story, and how brave, of course, Diane and her daughter Firenza have been. Now,
double X I would add, folks, if you want to see that, you need to go to it, and you need to download it, because there's a good probability YouTube will take it off.
You might well be right about that from everything that we've seen, and I think everybody who's in this conversation is fully aware of the programmatic attacks, if you will, on conservative bandwidth across the social media by the tech left. And I have tested that premise, Larry, empirically at least weeks as we've seen further degradation of conservative communications through social media and verified that that's going on. Now, the second data point for folks today, in this case, in this really outrageous story in Trinity County, California, which reminds me so much of the story of Athens, Tennessee in the 1940s after World War II, when U.S. servicemen literally had to take the ballot boxes away from corrupt county officials, town officials, to get a proper count on their mayoral election in Athens, Tennessee. Well, so what you've got here is you've got some brave ladies that are standing at the tip of the spear in California to restore fair elections in Trinity County. And I believe, Larry, and I think Pastor Sanders believes, that we're looking at the tip of the spear and cracking open this programmatic election fraud in California. So the timing is good as we look forward to 2020. If Diane will be the bow wave for returning to free and fair elections in Trinity County, that will bode well for the rest of California with the lens of the nation on California's election process. Now, that being said, Orlean has put forward this excellent article that folks need to read, and it's called The Lawless Wild Wild West of Trinity County, California, and that can be seen at the Eagle Forum of California.org website, Eagle Forum of California.org website. That document, Larry, there's a very interesting section that's entitled Spread the Corruption Around, and Orlean, I wonder if you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I got this from Diane, but she found out from some of those elected officials that, why are you so uptight about this? You just need to join us, and then you can participate in the money that we receive every month. An envelope of cash comes to them, kind of their hush money, and they're perfectly happy spreading the corruption around because it's so beneficial to them. Do you want to add more to that, Diane?
Yeah, they said a little corruption is a good thing.
Is that amazing?
That's a good way to look at it. Well, in the time we've got left, let's do this. Diane, is there anything you would like to say to this audience? Is there anything we can do to help?
Well, I don't know, calls to the president, calls to the governor, basically just shake as many trees as possible, because shining a light is a disinfectant on this kind of criminal activity that's happening here. The people here want have it to be right, law-abiding. They want to prosper, etc. I know it might be hard to believe, but even the cannabis growers here want to be legal. They want to do the right thing. They have a corrupt government that won't let anybody be right here. It's so bad. We need that kind of help too.
Okay, and Larry, there is one pressing concern, folks, and if you're listening and you have the ability to respond, it's very clear when people start shooting dogs and horses and hanging young teenage boys from trees in the forests of Trinity County that you have serious overreach. You have serious excess going on. Now, there's a reason why people shoot dogs, folks, not only for intimidation, but once the dogs are down, it's much easier to attack their owners. And so the next step becomes, in the escalation, that owners end up being killed, okay? And so we've already had a poor teenage boy, I believe his name was, Diane?
His name was Two.
And it's just a terrible thing that Two was killed. Well, so what Diane and Bobby Chadwick, who ran to try to push back against this, that had all her dogs that shot out from under her, and what Diane's daughter Firenza needs, and what this brave young deputy registrar Cheyenne needs, they need people to watch out for them. And I'm calling out right now around the country, any oath keeper, any U.S. Veteran, any law enforcement official, any citizen who can provide protection for these ladies in Trinity County until this thing is settled once and for all in that courthouse, which who knows could burn to the ground with the evidence that's been filed at this point. Larry, who knows what's in store? If they can answer the call in Trinity County and get in touch with Diane Richards directly so that she can coordinate perhaps security for the folks that need help up there right now, now is the time to stand up and respond. And so, Diane,
How do they get hold of you? How can people reach you?
I'll give you out my number because everybody's got it. It's 650-296-2169. 650-296-2169. And might I add also something, Larry? Diane and her daughter have been financing this entire trial all by themselves while their opponent gets to be financed by the entire county with their tax-paying dollars. If anyone would like to contribute to this trial that's going on right now and help them financially, at the end of my article gives the address of where to send some money, and any little bit will help. They've been doing this all by themselves. They've had to get rid of part of their ranch to finance it. It's just amazing. So that's certainly another way, and of course to pray for them. They need our prayers.
amen. In fact, we will pray for them this evening, Orlean, on Pastor Sanders' broadcast, What's Right, What's Left. Folks, again, that will be airing at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The number to call in, if we get a chance to open up the phone lines, will be 888-677-9673, 888-677-9673. That's Pastor Ernie Sanders' What's Right, What's Left, at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight on kprz.com. And Larry, I don't know if you'll be able to join us this evening. We will have Diane Richards and her attorney David Kenny join us. Possibly Orlean can join us, and we will get it to the larger audience. We've been tracking this very closely on Pastor's Ministry from coast to coast, and we're sure now that with the light of day shining on this, we can get quick resolution in the halls of justice if there is justice to be had in California.
Yeah, Orlean, let me ask you this. Is there anything you'd like to say to this audience before we go on behalf of Eagle Forum?
Well, first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to you. You know what corruption is. You've seen it really close up. And thank you so much for standing with Diane and Forenza and letting the whole listening audience understand what they are up against. And I would just like to say I'm very proud to have her as a member of our state board, and I'm sorry I'm getting all teary-eyed, but I also wanted to let you know she is an incredible writer, and one of the things that she did, she started publishing her own Trinity Gazette and would spread it out to all the Republican women organizations and groups around the state to try to let them know what she's up against. And she did a wonderful job. She just has lost time to be able to do that anymore. But it was a monthly publication and very well done. That's how she let people know the truth about this terrible election fraud. And thank you again. I just am very proud to have her a member of my board, and what a great example she is of an Eagle Forum member.
And I would like to let me say that.
Yeah, go ahead, Devil. Quick.
I was going to say, Larry, I would like to second Orlean's thanks to you for jumping into the breach here in the moment so we can get this out there and provide a measure of security and shining light on this for Cheyenne, the deputy registrar, for Diane, the courageous candidate, for her daughter, Firenza, filing the lawsuit, for Orlean with her leadership in Eagle Forum. We just am so appreciative that you were able to get your bandwidth onto this thing in this breaking story here today, Larry.
Well, thank you, Diane. Any closing remarks for you right quick, honey?
No, I think if you pray for us across the nation, we need to restore our faith in God and our American families, and I think we can turn America around that way.
Amen. Well, folks, let me tell you something. This is an example of what's going on all over the country. Thanks to Diane, her daughter, Orlean, Double X, for getting it out so that we at least hear it. Now it's our job don't say those right quick.
Well, we did have a few questions. You want to wait till tomorrow to answer them?
Tomorrow, Saturday, but
Oh, I mean next week.
one of the questions,
Um,
one question that we need to answer right now with Diane and Melina.
How would we copy the video that you said to copy from YouTube? Do you need a special software to download it? X?
I don't know.
Double X?
I've just always heard.
Mary Ellen, the YouTube channel is Trinity Water, 2 words, Trinity Water, common spellings, and you can see parts 1 through 7 right there on YouTube.
Right, but you said to save it in case it disappears. How would you do that?
Well, folks who are aware of that, you can I think access YouTube. I don't really save videos from YouTube, generally speaking, Mary Ellen.
Okay, so I'll have to ask a tech-savvy friend.
You can easily Google how to save a YouTube file, and I'm sure that you'll be able to arrive at the solutions for that.
Okay, do you think Fox would report this story for you?
I know that the Epoch Times is even listening to this broadcast, this webcast as we speak, and I'm sure that they will be responding to this story, and there will be others. And by the way, folks, if you're looking for a newspaper that's actually going to tell you the truth, you can't go wrong with the Epoch Times, EPOCH, theepochtimes.com, and I imagine we'll see this covered quite substantially once they get traction on the story with Diane and her fight.
All right, folks. Well, we're out of time. And I'm out of voice, so thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Larry. It's a pleasure to be
It's
with
a
you.
hard walk you're walking. Believe me, I know. Well, folks, today's Friday, so we will talk again come Monday. Unless something urgent comes up, if it does, we'll notify you over the weekend. So with that, guys, have a good day.
God bless.
God bless. God bless.
Thank you, everybody.